Hello. Welcome to the North American installment of the virtual new contributor workshop meetings. It's 17th of March, but actually the 18th of March at 9 a.m. Yeah, so there's a couple really good things that we went over on the earlier meeting, at the EU meeting. Like we kind of need to get the ball rolling and we need to lock in who's going to present again. We need to lock that in probably by end of this week, and then we can hit that deadline in 2 weeks if we want to do the 2 weeks thing. Yeah, so today I'm going to, with the help of Chris, chase up people chase up the presenters to see which one of them and who's willing to present or who's willing to pre-record. Can someone drop a link to the notes? Yes.
I got you. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's my update. Oh, Chris, did you manage to get information about when the comms will come out, or?
No, I poked George and I wasn't sure, but I'm sure Jeff has the link to the scheduled comms plan thingamajiggy.
Well, that's kind of gone by the wayside just because of things.
Oh, really?
But yeah, comms themselves are planned to go out on Monday. Because that is when the CNCF comms are going to go out, so we're aligned with them.
Cool. So yeah, there you go. We got to get this all figured out by Monday.
Okay.
As far as go, no go. So that means we need to know like who is definitely presenting, what they are presenting, and we can figure out the pre-record versus do it live versus virtual Q&A as we go, because I don't know if everybody will be able to do it live.
Another thing that I want to make clear is if you don't feel like we have enough people or we have enough time to actually like put forward some quality content, just let me know. I mean, this is such a weird situation. I have no problem like blasting out. Things got super weird even more than before. Sorry, we're just going to punt this. Like I would rather us present good content and like clean content rather than try and force something together.
I think let's see the end of week. Let's see by the end of week we'll have a better picture of who's in, who's not, and we'll also be able to collect those concerns as well.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting like let's decide today, but before comms go out.
So actually, here's an important question that's not in the notes, so I don't know it. What day are we talking about doing this?
The Sunday before, right?
The Sunday before is what we talked about on
29th.
Monday. The discussion on Monday yielded we would do the new contributor workshop Sunday and then the current contributor content on Monday.
Okay.
However,
so March 29th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone have like egregious, or not egregious, but like really bad concerns right now about this?
My only concern is people not wanting to dial in on a Sunday.
I think that's valid.
It's hard to know whether having this content occur on a weekend is better or worse until we try it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's done it, so here we go. But I think to Jeff's point, right? Like the idea is to get quality content, not necessarily to have most eyeballs on it live, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and like that's kind of my concern. I haven't gone over the new contributor workshop slides, so I don't know how much, if any, have been updated or like how much work has been done there.
Allison's done a bunch.
Yes. Sorry.
Know.
Good. I haven't had time to look at it, so I don't know if. Go ahead.
When is the dates? Can you repeat the dates? I
So
didn't get the dates.
New contributor workshop would be March 29th. EU time. For
Yeah, I
those
think it's
in day ahead.
GMT plus two.
1, 2, 2.
I think it's +2 for Amsterdam.
Got
Because
it.
the idea was we would do it in the Netherlands time zone.
Hang on. Alexa, what's Amsterdam's time zone?
The time zone in the entrance is Australian Eastern Daylight Time.
Australian? No. God, you're terrible.
All
You're
right.
the worst. Go away.
Whatever the Netherlands time zone is, that was the time zone we were going to present it in.
Okay. So let me
yeah.
just open up a world time buddy, and let me just chuck in Amsterdam and chuck in San Francisco, then chuck in New York. So we have all the coasts. I'm gonna just share my screen.
GMT +1.
There we go.
It's GMT +1.
This can't be that far from
Or
London.
UTC +1. Whatever.
So this is kind of a time zone thing. So yeah, if we decide to start at let me just chuck that as home. And if we decide to start at 9 a.m., for some people it might be 1 a.m. or 4 a.m.
Ouch.
Mm-hmm.
So we could start at the New York, the East Coast is a bit further ahead than the West Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Part of this depends on whether or not we can get Europeans to do a lot of the segments.
mhm.
Like,
yeah, like it's the people that matter.
If it's being presented, if we've got a crew that's mostly being presented by folks in Europe, then it's fine to do it right at 4 a.m. My time.
Yeah, like I have no problem getting up to like stream or whatever. I'm pretty sure George wouldn't either. Not to speak for George, but yeah, like ultimately I hope that EU folks are doing it. So we're just streaming for convenience sakes.
yeah. So I think we need to ping the EU folks on the shadow list.
Yeah, so
Like on the
can you
list.
send me your list of speakers and people to reach out to so that I can go as direct as possible to them?
Okay, I'll send you a list after
That
this meeting.
changed compared to the content proposal for NCW Amsterdam Google Doc that I just put in the Zoom link?
Oh, that would be great.
The content proposal, it still holds, but there's a couple people on the EU team. There's a couple people who are in the EU time zone, which we could probably, which haven't been on the schedule, that we could probably gear them up to present.
Yeah, I'm worried just looking at the names, like I was sort of intending to be support or shadow to rail, but I haven't seen them in quite a while. Gwen's US time zone, I'm US time zone, Jeff US, Allison, obviously you're a ways off of Europe time zone. Ben, Tim Hawken are Pacific time zone. Like the only Europe name there maybe is Rael, and I haven't seen Rael in months.
There should also be Munners.
Manners, James, we need to
Okay.
I need to reach out to James and ask him, hey, change of plans, can you help present this? Because I'm gonna be keen to wake up at I'm gonna be keen to be awake at night doing this. I'm happy to do that. I'd be happy to be there to support James if he wants to help out with this. I think he'd be really good.
And the other thing, I'm East Coast, so I'm New York time, and like I get up at like 6 or 7 a.m. anyways, so getting up a little earlier is just fine for me.
Yeah, same.
So we can start at 9 a.m. and go to like 5 p.m. ish. Doesn't have to be that long. We can start later. It is a weekend, and I don't want
So
to like push people
we're,
into
ta-
waking up at
we're
9
talking about 9
a.m.
a.m. Eastern, right?
9 a.m.
No,
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
So if you look at the screen share, you'll notice I've got all the different time zones. So when we look at 9 a.m. till 5 p.m., you'll see that it's 1 a.m. till 10 a.m. for our West Coast folks, and it's 4 a.m. till 1 p.m. for our East Coast folks. But there's no reason why we can't just have like the East Coast, like people don't have to be there for the whole time. They can drop in like halfway through and help.
There's one slight quirk here. I think you had the option of choosing the day. You should set it actually to the 29th because 29th Europe changes their daylight savings time on Sunday.
Oh, actually, you're right about that. Thank you for catching that, Tim. The 29th.
I'm also going to make.
Oh yeah, that's when daylight savings happens.
Yeah. I'm going to make a suggestion and ask a question. Suggestion is, if we are having this on a Sunday European time, maybe we don't want to start at 9 a.m. European time.
Yeah, no, I was about to suggest the same thing, Josh.
Yeah. But let's try
Like a 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. start, maybe.
And then the second thing is, have we asked any of our European contributors where they are on the presenting on Sunday versus Monday issue? In terms of what kind of audience they think we're going to get. Because like, for example, you know, how many of our European contributors go to church?
Well, they
one of those questions I really
probably aren't physically going, I hope.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that, right? Like,
yeah.
But those things are just as likely to transition online, and we should be respectful of people's personal lives and commitments.
I think we could even do this as like an afternoon. Maybe like I feel like the content, yes, we could like chuck a bunch of breaks in there, or we can just make it like watching a Netflix marathon.
well, I don't like the idea of a marathon.
But do we have number of people from different regions? How many of them attending from? Do we have that stats?
No, and we don't have that stat because we originally just had people registering for KubeCon EU, and then we weren't collecting their like personal info. Technically, the CNCF would have it, but we can't really look at it.
Okay.
And the whole point of this was we were just going to open it up because we don't have attendance caps.
Then you want to split it as what we split this meeting, kind of EU and North America, or just one? We want to have it for complete audience. Because if in US timings, if people want to attend in US, right, at 4 a.m., it doesn't even make sense to just have it at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m.
So the point of this was to record it so we could let other people see it at their leisure. That was one of the big things. And then the lessons learned from doing it this way, we would then take those and then make a more polished version that we can continue to reiterate on digitally and not aligned with the contributor summit.
Okay, got it.
I mean, and I don't know about anybody else, but I'm planning to pre-record my segments.
Yeah, I would suspect a lot of people would be, right? Like, and that would be my intent in saying, hey, you know, virtual Q&A, pre-record, like, I'm here to help you do whatever you need to do between now and then, right?
So that's actually going to raise a question that I need to figure out who I can ask this about, right? Which is, if we're doing this over Zoom, what format, what sort of thing do I need to do to pre-record to make it, you know, sort of maximally shareable within the format here?
Probably MP4, I would think.
So this is another thing that we talked about on Monday, and that was the format. We are going to, with the current contributor stuff, follow the office hours format, which is there's going to be people that are the moderators and the panel and the presenter. They will be on Zoom. Everyone else is going to be watching through YouTube and chatting through Slack. We have that infrastructure set up. That is how we do
Right.
office hours every month.
But that doesn't change the format of the
that's-
video.
just-
That's what Josh
No,
is
but
asking.
it
How do-
does. Hold
That's
on,
just
hold
that
on.
we can't pre-record anything.
No, that's not correct. I'm saying the exact opposite. Whatever the streamer who is streaming onto YouTube can handle,
Yeah.
you can record as.
Ah, okay, got it. Okay.
And since that streamer is going
That's
to at the very least be me and maybe Chris and maybe George,
Yeah, I think,
whatever VLC can play.
yeah, I think
Pretty
similar to
sure
Office.
we can handle it, buddy.
And we can
Yeah.
also you can also share videos into Zoom.
Yeah, like that's what
Yeah.
I was gonna do. I was
Yeah.
gonna fish
Yeah.
it into Zoom and do it
Yeah.
that way. That way I
But this
wouldn't have
would this would be typical similar to Office hours. What we do like for that, Jeff?
So for office hours, anyone who wants to watch office hours views it on YouTube. We blast out a YouTube link, and then if
Yes.
there are any questions or anything, they ask through Slack.
Yes, we have. I mean, yes, I do host Office hours with George, so I got a clear picture of how Office hours is being taken. Is it? We want to do it in a similar way.
We're going to do it the exact same way. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far
Then
as questions go, like for Josh's, session, for example, right? Like, I'm hopeful that there will be enough people lingering in the Slack channel to answer those questions. But if not, then I will queue them up potentially for Josh being answered later.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, I'll wake up to actually take the questions. It's just that
Oh, even better. Done.
if I end up doing this in the middle of the night, I don't want to be both trying to present and field questions at the same time. I just won't be awake enough.
Because I think in Amsterdam time, we could do the Q&A thing like in the evening, like past dinner time ish, where it's just drop in for like an hour. We're doing Q&A, and then we can get that allows us to have the people from America on when they're awake. Because doing Q&A at 2 a.m. does not sound fun.
Yeah, I guess speakers, we need to get a consensus on what they want to do, and then how they want to handle questions, if they want to handle questions at all. And then, we go from there as far as like, do we want to block an hour off at the end of the day for questions so that everybody knows, just jump in this Slack channel for questions about anything new contributor related at this time, or do we want to do it after every single talk or whatever? Yeah. For every single presentation, not talk. Does that make sense, Tim?
That makes sense.
English? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's so good.
So when I go to the with the content proposal, right? So sorry, I'm just starting the question again. So that we are trying to follow this with respect to the speakers, whether they're recorded or they're doing it live in that time slot, right?
Yeah. So I feel like we still keep our original schedule of we're gonna have this talk, then have a break. It's just there'll be probably right at the end, later on, there'll probably be another session, quote unquote, another session which is just Q&A, because some of those presentations in that content proposal will be pre-recorded, and audience won't have the opportunity to ask speaker questions. Does that make sense? So to answer that question, yeah, the schedule's going to be the same structure.
Okay, so I think 101 and 201 is going to be parallel, or it's going to be one after the other?
Oh, that's the one thing that we can do now, is we can do a combined introduction.
So
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's
That's-
one more thing, right?
That's a great idea. Okay, thank you for bringing that up, Summer. Like, we now no longer have that constraint. And so we don't have to do 2 separate tracks for the intro. Okay.
Beautiful. Hey, quick
Woohoo!
question. Who is Rob on the list here? Rob
Rob Keelty.
Guilty?
Guilty. Okay, sorry. Then Ben, the usual suspect, Ben.
Yep.
Elder.
Yeah,
Ben the younger.
right. The usual suspect, Ben. That's why I call him.
So I need to drop soon. The 2 things I really want to make sure is by the end of the week we do have a go no go and we know who's speaking, because I feel like those are the 2 big things. And then I need to go through the slides and just like actually look at them, because I haven't done that yet.
Do we
And
have a list
then-
of presenters, Jeff?
That's what we're trying to work out.
Yeah.
This is
So
gonna
we
be
have like
reaching
the
out to
original
everybody.
list, and we need to confirm. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. Well, and we can also reach out because we had a bunch of people who weren't able to help because of conflicts.
Yep.
So the question is whether or not we remember who those people were.
Okay, and that helps. And Chris, I can help presenting if any slots available, and if somebody needed
Okay.
help.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Good to know.
Anyways, I'll read the notes. Gotta go.
See ya.
Peace.
Yeah.
So Tim, are you good to present and everything? You want me to
So-
find Riel? You want me to track him down, or what's up?
Originally, I was just there to sort of be backup support, like for you in the prior session.
Right.
So I've been operating under the assumption that Rael was doing the presentation.
Okay.
If everything is falling apart, then I mean I can try
Yeah,
to
don't
do.
I don't necessarily want you to do it, but yeah, let me at least figure out what's going on. How about that? All right.
So where do we have this list, Chris? The list of presenters from previous, or from where do
It's
we
in
have somewhere
the-
tracking?
The content proposal. Those names that are by the subjects. All right. I'm gonna get to tracking these folks down
Mm-hmm.
and getting go no goes for them. So it's Allison, Rob, Riel, Josh, Tim, which you already know, Gwen, Jeff, Ben, Selma Drummel, and myself. Anybody else that we know of? All right.
I feel like we're good
For now.
for now.
Good feels like an overstatement to me.
Ah!
Like I feel like we're yellow verging red still here. Like I have relatively
That's
low
good for now.
confidence. I mean we're a week and a half away. 12 days.
With 2 weeks ish.
2 weeks is we're 12
Ish.
days.
Can we get so let's start claiming
11 and a half.
at least for the people on this call. Let's
Right.
claim some segments. So I was already down for the sort of intro section in 101. I'm still happy to take any of those. What are the actual individual segments? We don't have them listed there.
The individual segments. So we have KK. So for like the 101, we have the workspace setup, local build and test, pull request exercise, and find your first issue. For the introduction, we have I have the whole list of stuff. Hang on. If you click over, where's the on the day extra notes, that gives you the actual run through. Because this was just kind of shortened-ish. But here is another link that I will send you. Because I kind of shortened the kind of shortened the actual content proposal, so that it was just like descriptions and stuff. So the on the day run book is like kind of like the list of the content. But you would like to do the introduction, Josh?
Well, part of it.
Part of
And then
it?
I don't think I should talk for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We should trade off. So it's the introduction looks like communications and community. I don't-
Introduction is almost for 1.5 hours, which we are set up to 9:30 to 11. So where we can cover
feel like
both.
I feel like there's segments missing there. That's not an hour and a half worth of stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's like, that's not the actual title for it. I think it's just introduction, because on the run book, on the day run book extra notes says we're going to go through communications tools. We're going to talk about, podcasts, the meetings. We're going to do a scavenger hunt, like for people to like get people familiar with Git. And then there's going to be the live PR demo, past contributorship. We've got communication, community group and governance, orgs overview, how to find what you need in the community, tips and tricks for interacting, teach people to answer questions, how to phrase questions, limitations of GitHub searches. Yeah, there's a whole like thing over here, this whole page of content that you can kind of claim what you'd like.
I think this will take more than 1.5 hours. It will be 2 hours or so with everything going, all this stuff, right?
I think I'm
okay. Am I not finding the right document? I'm not finding any of the stuff that you're saying.
No,
I
I think
posted
Allison sent another post on the chat.
In chat.
In the chat.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at that document, and am I looking at the wrong part of it?
It says the first page, NCW on the day run book, extra notes.
Yeah.
That's the doc.
So we've got communications tools, podcasts, and periodic meetings.
And
the scavenger hunt.
This everything I've highlighted.
Is Google sharding failing us?
Josh, are you able to see it?
Yeah, I'm just not. Maybe what I have in mind under those topics is not what you have in mind under those topics.
What do you have in mind?
Well, no, it's just I'm remembering this from, new contributor workshop over a year ago in terms of what was under those topics. Because the original communication segment, for example, took 5 minutes, maybe 10.
Yeah, that's why I only got like an hour and a half where we got communications, and like it's just like a brief skim of like, this is what you can do. I think the things that we wanted to take a little bit more time were the things like the scavenger hunt, where we get the audience to try find stuff using the tools.
Okay, so there's in the slide deck, there's a bunch of stuff around community organization. So that is, SIGs, user groups, steering committee, everything else. And I don't see that in these notes.
Oh, hang on. Let me go back to those notes. I think it's, if you go to main content, like main content down here, we have live PR demo, paths to being a contributor, communication, community group and governance, and orgs overview.
Okay.
Sorry, this is a bit confusing, isn't it?
Yeah, for a to-do, we really need to take the 101 and actually lay out the list of things we're going to cover and when we're going to cover them. Because what's here is a bunch of topics, but without any real ordering or times.
Okay.
And we need to figure that out so that we can actually assign people things.
Yeah.
So
I think if we go into the slides, One
Yeah.
thing that I have added to the
Okay.
introduction part, I'm just trying to find the introduction. I did add some blank placeholders for
Okay.
something.
Can I have the current slides? Because what I'm looking at right now is the San Diego version.
Yeah, I just gotta copy. I think I put placeholders in there. I'm confusing myself. Because I thought I put some blank slides in there. And beginner and intermediate tour repos. Community groups, community planning, where to ask technical questions, figuring out where to contribute. I thought I had how to find what you need. So the extra stuff, the how to find what you need, like I got like some blank slides there, but I think all the other content's the same. So everything up to slide 58 is the introduction.
Okay, so I think we can pretty easily.
Yeah.
I think, Alison, let's come up with a doc. I'll work with you to come up with a doc where, at least with the slides and everything, with the introduction, if we take the introduction, right? Introduction from this slide to this slide, and this is what the timing is. And the next, what is this slide to this slide, the next topic, and what is that we're going to cover. So we will just come up with one document with all of them included.
Yeah, that's what this run book is. It's supposed to be the what content where. It's just I chucked all the extra notes that I had from the content proposal in here because I didn't want to lose them. But saying that, I feel like we can put all those different sections into this run book this on the day and put the timings in as well. I don't want another doc because I've got like
so I mean the other doc, maybe this doc itself we will fine tune it with respect to the slide numbers and the slide presentation and the timings and everything, so that will give you more, that will give more confidence to the presenters, and the one who is hosting on the day also will have complete clear picture of what timings and what presenter and where the slides are.
Yeah, I also don't want to be too rigid with timings for things as well. I just want to say this is the content and let the people present and have a feel for it. But yeah,
just a rough time slots.
Well, so you can't let them be too loose now.
Yeah, we've got the time slots in there though, like this is 9:30 to 11 the start, but like for each section we can put in how long we want that to roll for.
Yeah, so for each section also, like we'll get back to each section and we'll give the timings there too, what to, I mean, if it is running over or just have 10 or 15 minutes, it'll be fine. But Josh, are you comfortable with all the introduction that is there for 1.5 hours? You see that, right?
I'm seeing that. I'm busy. If you take a look at the notes, I'm busy breaking out sections.
Oh, yes, I saw that. So, I mean,
so the goal of this is we're going to break out those sections and then people are going to claim various sections.
That's cool. Yeah, that works.
Not necessarily during this meeting because there are other
yeah.
people from Contribex who are not in this meeting, but if anybody in this meeting wants to claim something, then they should go ahead. So I'm going through the slides and looking at what we have and calling each sort of distinct spot in it a section.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool beans. communications, community groups, SIGs. And then there was the how to find what you need. Yeah. That needs a better name, but I've just kind of gone with that same name. I got the last point for you there, Josh. Or did I? Repo tour, I forgot that
Repo
one.
tour is in between. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I guess because it's like a full-on picture.
Yeah.
I kind of,
I guess because you're not going to do slides here, we're just going to go straight into looking at GitHub, presumably. The
okay. I need to click Open Sans.
Yep.
No.
I kind of think you should claim how to find what you need, Allison, because that way we don't have to go through the what does Allison want here and then have somebody else implement it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, because a lot of like the random news segments, like I'm happy to help take those on board and work with other people to refine them rather than give them to someone else and say, here, try paint this painting in my vision.
Yeah. Okay, and for the rest of this beginning thing, all of this is pretty similar to the material that me and Gwen used to do. So I'm happy to take any of those 5 sections. So let's see if other people have particular feelings, something they want to take. The community groups is probably the longest single section from a talking standpoint. It's always a question of, and since I wasn't in the drafting talks, I don't know how long. One of these things, Allison, if you could actually set fuzzy times for this so that we have an idea of
approximately
how long you wanted them to be.
Yeah.
This should be about 30 minutes. This should be about an hour.
Like,
yeah.
Honestly, the SIG tour can be literally an hour depending on the amount of detail you want to go into. I don't think we want
I remember in San Diego,
Yeah,
I went through some very quickly and some very slowly based off the skills that were in the room at the time. So yeah, I totally feel that estimated time gap would be great.
So one of the other things I want to ask about, whether or not we want to, so in the live version, what we tend to do is sort of bunch up a lot of the exercises because it's hard to switch people back and forth between listening to something and doing an exercise. Does the online format mean that we want to do less or more bunching up? That is, do we want to switch back to a format where we do 20, 25 minutes and then have them do an exercise?
I think half of me's like, that's a good idea, but the other half of me's like, let's stick to like what we currently have, the current schedule for things, because we're too far ahead on the train to diverge.
The horse has left the stable or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the horse has left the barn.
There you go. Yeah.
But it's a good thought, and I feel we should definitely note that down for next time we run this. But
and it could be that we get feedback from this and that like we decide to go some completely different direction with exercises. Who knows? But yeah, like that's definitely worth thinking about in the future.
So yeah. I think
so. Just to let you know what I've been doing. So I reached out to everybody via Slack. I'll find emails later. But at the bottom of the content proposal guide, Allison, I put the virtual event go no go list, and I've listed everybody's names. and whether or not they can present. And I'll put whether or not they're pre-recording and virtual QAing in Josh's instance, or streaming and speaking live kind of deal. I'm probably forgetting names, so please feel free to add on to that as you see fit.
Okay. I'll chase you up on that later on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What else do we need to cover?
I think that's it. Tim, are you feeling comfortable now? Because a bit.
I
The
guess
2 weeks.
I'm curious to see what we hear back from EU volunteers and other potential presenters. Yeah, that kind of hinges on that for me.
Yeah, I think for
I can attempt to do some pre-recording things, but in terms of live, like my brain does not work in the middle of the night.
No one
I
is
am
expecting it.
non-functional.
No. And like I said, right, like pre-recording, I almost prefer it because I can, like, as far as streaming goes, I know what the setup is, right? Like I'm able to pre-record and present a lot better and more sustainably that way, if that makes sense, right? Like doing it live complicates things. So I have no problem doing it live, right? It's just like presenting any other meeting. It's just there's more possibilities for error.
Yep, get it. I think by next meeting we should have more comfortable thing with all the presenters and the time slots and everything sorted out.
Yeah, I mean, we've got.
When is our next
Yeah.
meeting? Is it in 2 weeks?
We're going
That was on 2
to
weeks.
do one next week. I think there's one scheduled for next week. Yeah, there is one scheduled for next week on the Tuesday.
Allison, we should probably have one on Friday.
We
sometime.
can have one on Friday as well. Yeah, I can just open up my Zoom and be like, drop in. We can have a just drop in meeting, or we can have an actual meeting.
Yeah, maybe this time on Friday works. Everybody.
This time on Friday does not work for me. That's the thing, because my Fridays are like, oh, we have our team meetings and stuff, and that's my morning.
So the Europe time or Friday morning, or the timing which we have today.
We can do. I can do the Europe meeting, but I can't do a 9 a.m. Wait, a 9 a.m. on Friday. Hang on, I'm confused. Time zones are confusing me.
Yes, they are.
Because American Friday is New Zealand Saturday.
Saturday, right. So
Saturday
this would be your
Saturday
Friday. Like your Friday morning.
Yeah, I can
Your Friday night.
Friday. I can do Friday. Okay. That makes sense. I was just like, Friday? I have meetings on Friday, and I'm like, wait.
So I guess the other thing that and still worry in my mind is we're 11 and a half days away from the event happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a limited amount of time, and we've got to back up from there to record things. So we got a lot of stuff to get defined really quickly to get everything done in those 11 and a half days.
Yes.
Yeah. Next week's going to be make or break. This week is make or break.
Yeah, like we need to have, like, what is a good number of presenters you think? Room for everybody here. Right, 8, 10, 12, right? Like we need to have like a cadre of people ready to present. I feel like 6, I don't know. By Friday, we need to have like enough people covering enough things that we feel confident this can go off.
Yeah, we have to have names next to pretty much every single section, like confirmed names.
Right.
Next to every section. And it needs to not be all 3 people because, you know,
if it's everyone, it's nobody.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, one thing I'll admit and warn people is that I'm also doing this kind of exercise for work because my employer had a major event canceled and is taking it virtual. So my follow-up ability, my amount of time that I can follow up with other people is going to be limited. Yeah. I can definitely get my segments recorded.
Yeah, worry about you.
But yeah.
We've got this.
And Okay, then once after this, schedule the meeting on Friday and send it over so that
Yep.
we
That's
can get
gonna
it.
be.
And
Yeah, and
yeah, and
some would
if
draw. You and I can work on tag teaming people and getting names plugged in if that
Mm.
makes sense. How about that?
sure, yes, that works.
Schedule Friday. Okay, so there's a couple things on the to-dos. Fuzzy timings for things. The who's speaking. Chris, I, and Summer. If you're really keen to help out with that, they'll be
Sure.
good. The fuzzy timing and stuff. I'm gonna sit and talk with the slides for like
Be one with the slides.
be one with the slides. Try figure that out. I'm gonna try to get that by end of day New Zealand for me. Then the schedule Friday meeting, that'll be done probably within the next hour or so. I will ping Jeff and help me schedule meeting, or I'll find someone to ping. And the go no go, Chris, you've got that?
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful.
Anything else we're missing?
I think we've covered everything for
The run
now.
book is good as far as times go, right? Are we good here or not?
Yeah, the run book's good. I think there's just for each section figuring out how long each section is maybe.
Okay.
But run book seems pretty good. But feel free to add notes to that.
Will do. Thank you.
Alrighty. Anything else to add, team? Are we good? We're good.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
See where we are in coming days.
Yes.
All right. Take care. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Take care, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.